Hey guys, welcome to season 1, the finale of Vice Principals. Stay tuned.
You're tuning into the destination for TV superfan discussion, AFTERBUZZ TV. And now, let the buzz begin.
I feel like I just have to hide under the table.
Oh, it's the finale.
What a finale it was, guys.
Yes, hello everybody and welcome. We are talking the finale of Vice Principals. I am Kelsey Hightower. You can find me online at Kels Hightower. Tamra.
I'm Tamra Brown. Subscribe to my YouTube channel. Hey Tamra on YouTube.
On the YouTube.
On the YouTubes.
Excellent. Okay, so it's the finale. I couldn't be happier.
Oh, you and I both, sister.
I know. What are your thoughts generally? Should we even do that?
WTF? What the fuck was that last scene, guys?
That's all I can think about is the last scene. That was just, I don't have words for that.
I don't have, okay, here's, this is how this show left me. No satisfying emotions whatsoever. Like, not, maybe Gamby giving his daughter the bike was slightly satisfying, but that's as close as we got to any sort of feelings of satisfaction from this show.
I completely agree. And I thought that the show was going to end about 5 times. I just kept, there was like a ton of buttons right there. They're just closing up every loose end. And I was like, okay, this is a great ending. Okay, his daughter has the bike. Let's end on that. And then it just kept going. And then I just felt like they just added that last scene. And it was very confusing and unnecessary. I wasn't a fan.
I feel like, and I wonder if Danny McBride is challenging television narrative, traditional stories in every capacity, in that I want to make a show where unlikable characters win and likable characters lose. I want to make a show where, because that's what it is. And that's what it's like that's not our opinion. That seems to be what the intention is. So it's like, it's so hard to get behind a show where everything that you're rooting for dies.
That is true. And I like when filmmakers do things that are unconventional and do the stories that's unconventional, or try and change the protocol. You know, the what is it called? The prototype,
status quo.
Status quo, exactly. And I like when they challenge that. It's just, this one was very hard to get behind. Okay, so should we start? Let's just like go through the episode instead of skipping to the end, even though that end, I just can't get it out of my head. But Dr. Belinda Brown, she had such a rough episode.
The only person, well, one of my favorite characters of probably my favorite character of the show was Dr. Belinda Brown.
Yeah, and I did like how the show started, where it ended last episode. So we started in the bathroom of her house, and she's just a hot mess. She looked like she would be fun to hang out with, you know, but they used that as blackmail. And so she was going through a lot with her family and the boys leaving. And so we can see why she acted that way. And yeah, so I don't know, that was your favorite character. And we got to see a lot of falling apart in
I'm
this
surprised
season.
that we don't see, we didn't have time, because, you know, there wasn't time to add this little storyline in there, but I thought we were going to find out what happened to her husband and the boys, her ex-husband and the boys. I had predicted at the end of last episode that the father was going to get too overwhelmed with how much those boys would handle and bring them back or something like that, but it's just kind of like, no, they're just gone. No, you just lost your children.
It was weird for her to come in, or for him to come in 2 episodes ago and try and fix everything, and they were this happy family, and then now it's just like completely undone everything that it built up to that.
See, that's why I feel it's like intentionally, like they want you to love Dr. Belinda Brown. They want you to like that character. and then just cringe at all of the terrible things that are happening to her. Like that, I feel like that is entirely what the purpose, was of everything in her story. And it's just like, oh, it's like nails on a chalkboard. Like, how can you, and then I will continue that idea after we get to the end.
Yes, as we get to the end. So we saw her falling apart, and they had the video on the hidden pin that they were going to use as blackmail. So they got the footage, and then they decided. Okay, so this was another frustrating moment for me. So Belinda and Gamby have grown very close. And so she offered Gamby to be the vice principal by himself and to get rid of Lee Russell. And I was like, take it. That would be so great. That would just be a perfect ending. Like, he's the vice principal. Maybe the next season they could start with him trying to be principal. But that's not how it goes. He used that, and he was asking a bunch of people around the school if they would miss Lee Russell. So I kind of had a feeling that he was like testing the waters to see where he stood. So we saw that, and then we get to where Lee Russell and Gamby take Belinda out to the train tracks.
Just real quick on what you were just saying with because I thought it was heading in that direction too, where because Gamby we were liking him, he was easing, a little bit. He would still say offensive things that would get under my skin, but like he was generally trying to be a little bit more earnest of a person, which was, got you a little bit on his side.
And we've seen this grow through the season, I think, like to where this is the most earnest he's been the whole season, I think. Like it just has built up to that.
And so I thought too that he was going to, screw over Lee Gamby and take the vice principal position. And that kind of would have been fine because Lee Russell is a horrible, horrible person in every capacity. Like there's no reason to not fuck him over. Like there's no reason not to. Like, and was it last episode that he basically said, he told his wife, I'm going to kill myself. Which is super dark, and it came out of nowhere. But I was kind of like, actually, that would be cool. Like,
just disappear forever.
Yeah, like please. Gamby takes the
principal or vice principal.
He's
position for.
And Lee Russell commits suicide. I thought that's what was going to happen.
You're like, I'm on board for this.
And that would have been
storyline.
I would have enjoyed that, but it went in this direction where this horrible Lee Russell character that has no positive attributes in any way at all wins,
It's very frustrating. He was my
question is why?
Character.
Like why is that happening?
And why did he stick around the whole season? He's been terrible every single episode, and they could have just got him out anytime. Like they could have killed him off, or they could have like sent him away, or he could have been caught, like when he'd spit in the coffee, like he could have, been gone. And I just don't understand why that didn't happen.
Yeah. So
I'm with you.
And then moving on to the railroad tracks scene, very uncomfortable from the beginning because like I said before we started recording, to be, I was, I guess maybe as a woman, I'm putting myself in the place of Dr. Belinda Brown.
Right.
If you two guys that you work with lead you into the woods and then on a dime turn from being nice, fairly nice, to calling you slut and bitch, you're like, safety radar goes off. And it would just, that moment was terrifying. Why did they bring me out in the middle of nowhere and all of a sudden they're calling me slut and bitch? Like, I would have ran. You know?
Like just run away. She did prove that she could fend for herself when she beat both of them up. That's not something that I would do. I'm more of a flight than fight kind of person. But it's still terrifying to do that. You would have just gotten out of there immediately.
Well, because, and also too, like, I can see, you know, she probably saw, like, these are not guys that are physically threatening. I can kick their ass.
Yeah.
So that was, you know, a little bit satisfying when she was, but just when she's just had it and she's just like, fuck, and she realizes that she lost, it's like, you know, it's just so sad. And I don't understand what they wanted viewers to feel in that scene.
Yeah, well, and
because I assume that's what they wanted the viewers to feel, is sympathy and, you know, hopelessness after this happened to a character that they knew that you liked.
And you could see with Gamby the whole time that he was there, I feel like he had mixed emotions. He was kind of going back and forth, like being sympathetic with her because he's connected with her before many times, and even with kids and family issues and stuff like that. So I think the whole time it's like he couldn't even say the line that Lee wanted him to say, and
which is very true to character, because he is like Gamby's a weak 12-year-old boy that never grew up.
Yeah.
And that is exactly what the weak kid would be doing in that situation, is like just not have the guts to stand up to, you know, his friend that's torturing a dog, you know, and just not have the guts to step in.
I know. And that, like,
be like,
I think that moment hurt the most. Is just like, you could have done something, like we can see you want to do something and you're not going to do it.
And you just don't have the cojones to step up and do something. And so that was at least true to Gamby's character. Like, I feel like it would be out of character for him to step in and be like, you know, you do the right thing, but still at the same time it's like, that is what I wanted to see.
Yeah.
Anyway.
It's frustrating. Okay, so we are going to start wrapping. So a little bit short, but throughout the episode we find out that they blackmailed her with the video, so she left. Belinda had to leave. We saw that at this moment in the train tracks. And then they got called into Superintendent Haas's office, and they thought that they were going to get to have a new principal. One of them were going to become principal. And it turns out that they are co-principals. And so that's
for the interim.
Yes, till they decide what happens. And it's interesting because there's been a couple slips when I really wanted to talk more about the finale, because when they were at the train tracks, Lee let it slip that they had burned Dr. Belinda Brown's house down, and then it comes back at the very end. After they're so happy that they're principals now and they're telling their families and they're bragging about it, then we get to the first day of them being principal and their cars are on fire.
Yeah, well, and then also too, real quick, at the flagpole, Lee Russell's like, you burned her house down and you did all of these things. I thought that somebody was recording something because of the way that was going. That was a confusing scene. I don't know what the purpose of that was.
I don't know if he was trying to do a mind trick to kind of just put it on Gamby to just say, this is how I'm going to be turning it now. Like, you did all of this to her. And but I thought that he would have his little pin recording it too. That's what I was thinking. I
don't know. I don't now, because now since nothing came of that, I don't know why that flag scene took place.
Yeah, it's interesting. So we just have a couple more minutes to talk about that last scene, which is so confusing to me. That's very frustrating. Their cars were on fire, and the person in the mask comes up and shoots Gamby.
So
and I have so many questions. Who is the person? Was that real? And I don't know what to think about it.
It better be real, because that's such a cop-out if it's like, oh, ends on a dream sequence. Like, it better be real. B, it's clearly Dr. Brown. Like, she hired a hitman, set his car on fire, hired a hitman to shoot him, which for God's sake, that scene at the tracks, all I'm thinking is, like, you did all of these horrible things to a woman because you wanted her job? That seems like so overboard. So it's like, the stakes are so insanely high for something that's that big a deal. Not that big a deal.
And I mean, I get that's the comedy of the show, but it just, I think the execution of it might have missed the mark a little bit.
Yeah. So So he gets shot. He's not gonna die, but like, yeah, I don't know.
So weird.
So weird. You did not see that coming. So good job. I think you wanted to
The surprise element.
throw a wrench in everybody's predictions, and you certainly did.
Succeeded.
Yeah.
Okay, so last thing, what are your final thoughts? And what do you want to see if there is a season 2?
I mean, I think I've made it clear. I don't think what I want to see is what this show is about. So like, it's, you know, there's no way that it's going to come back in season 2 and suddenly Gamby's going to learn his lesson. Lee Russell's going to get his comeuppance and get fired, and you know, Snodgrass is going to realize that she's too good for Gamby. Like, all of these things would not be in the voice of this show in any way. So it's, I don't know. I mean,
yeah, I think, yeah, it's a tough thing to talk about, but I would like to see just maybe some, I don't know how to put this, but different comedy mixed in, because I think it's a lot of like physical comedy, and I think that there could be some jokes that were layered in there that could be added to that, kind of like bringing back to Eastbound and Down, how it was clever, as far as his jokes seem to hit a lot better in that episode or in that show than they are in this one. So maybe like some jokes that are also funny in here, not just the physical humor, but also some of those written jokes to be thrown in, maybe a little
bit more cerebral jokes.
Yeah,
Fair enough.
Let's go with that. All right, well, that is the finale of season 1 Vice Principals.
Let us know what you guys thought of the finale.
Yes, please comment below, let us know. Tamra, where can they find you?
You can check out my YouTube channel, Hey Tamra.
All right, and thank you for watching. I'm Kelsey Hightower. You can find me online at Kels Hightower. Have a good one. All right.
See ya when we see ya.
Bye.
From executive producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
Buzz you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.